Spoiler alert, a strange allusion to the Lord of the Rings brings the Rings of Power one step closer to verifying the identity of the stranger. One of the most prominent mysteries in the Rings of Power is the real identity of the character played by Daniel Weyman, who is referred to as the Stranger. The Stranger's wizard status was established by the Rings of Power Season 1's conclusion.
Stranger isn't a man or an elf.
But as wizards should not exist in the second age of the program, it is unknown if Weyman is portraying a wizard that is well known from The Lord of the Rings or a different kind of wizard. In Amazon's Middle-earth, the Rings of Power Season 2 introduces the Stranger to Tom Bombadil, who is essentially a one-man Hogwarts. Together, the two bearded people spoke about the secret fire, also called the Flame Imperishable or Flame of Anor. This spiritual fire is the source of life in Tolkien's world. Since the secret fire is also the source of magic in the Rings of Power, the Stranger must subdue the flames in order to perform spells that will not harm his allies.
This magic, can you teach it to me?
On the other hand, this training procedure might hold a secret hint to the Stranger's identity.
Show yourself!
Welcome to Movie Spy. The secret fire of the Rings of Power is the second Gandalf reference in the show. The Stranger from the Rings of Power Season 2 is showing a pattern. In The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf famously declared, "I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the Flame of Anor, in front of the Balrog."
I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the Flame of Anor.
Not just Gandalf has the honor of serving the secret fire. Any wizard, Maya, or Vala who sticks to their initial cause can justifiably be called a servant of the secret fire. In the end, the statement just signifies that Gandalf is a spokesperson for Eru Ilúvatar, the god of the world of the Lord of the Rings. It does not follow that the two characters are inextricably linked. Just because the Stranger in the Rings of Power is learning the secret fire's path from Tom Bombadil, and because Gandalf described the same secret fire in The Lord of the Rings. The Stranger may just as easily be Saruman, a blue wizard, or an unidentified Maya based only on the reference to the secret fire, all of whom, in theory, are also agents of the secret fire. That being said, The Rings of Power is mostly a written television series that is replete with allusions and foreshadowing that are interwoven throughout The Lord of the Rings. It is possible that the Rings of Power's imaginative team incorporated the secret fire into the Stranger's narrative as a subtle hint or Easter egg, even if the Stranger's schooling in the secret fire does not definitively establish the character as Gandalf. That would therefore be another minor step toward the revelation that Gandalf is actually the nameless Istar from the Rings of Power. An almost exact replica of Gandalf's "follow your nose" advice from The Lord of the Rings was referenced by the Stranger in the first season of The Rings of Power. The two allusions together flawlessly illustrate how the winds of Rhûn are only blowing in one direction during The Rings of Power Season 2, and that direction is the Stranger and Gandalf being revealed as one and the same. That clue was far more specific, and consequently more convincing, than the secret fire reference from Season 2. Why does Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings become a servant of the hidden fire? The proclamation made by Gandalf before the Balrog is rich in lore. Tolkien's interpretation of life and creation is essentially found in the secret fire, which serves as the source from which Arda, Middle-earth its people, emerged from Eru. It is possible to argue that the secret fire, which is blazing brightly within all of Middle-earth's good, living creatures, is Eru's will in its purest, most holy form. Heavenly wars were fought over the secret fire long before the events of the Rings of Power, with Morgoth vying for possession of it and the Valar defending it for their master. Gandalf served directly under the Valar as the Maya known as Olorin prior to coming to Middle-earth as a wizard. By definition, Gandalf's role among the Maiar requires him to serve and defend the secret fire from evil people like Morgoth. This entails, somewhat ironically, defending Eru's will, his creation, life on Middle-earth, and everything good. In The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf's whole campaign to aid the many races of Middle-earth in overthrowing Sauron is motivated by this precise goal. But there is a more profound reason why Gandalf would call upon the name of the secret fire to frighten Moria's Balrog. Not only do the evil wizards, dark creatures, and nameless things of Middle-earth avoid light in general, but the source of Gandalf's wizardry was probably the secret fire. Gandalf is really a gift from the secret fire because the Maiar were given terrifying sorceress abilities as part of Eru's ultimate creative conception. Additional hints. Did you see them all? The stranger in the Rings of Power is Gandalf. Adorable. There are more clues that the stranger in the Rings of Power is Gandalf than just the dialogue nods from the Lord of the Rings. The main two Harfoots on the program, Nori and Poppy, are quickly growing close to Daniel Weyman's character, which would neatly explain Gandalf's tight relationship to the hobbits in The Lord of the Rings. The stranger from the Rings of Power is a significantly more Gandalf-esque figure in Season 2, adopting the same grandfatherly manner that Ian McKellen perfected and dispensing wise counsel akin to a hairy self-help book after first appearing as a mute and eccentric enigma in Season 1. In The Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 6, Tom Bombadil states, "Many that die deserve life, and some that live deserve death." This statement is another significant hint. This quote from The Fellowship of the Rings by Gandalf sounds just like that. Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. The Rings of Power may be hinting that, in order to appear smart to his friends during The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf used Tom Bombadil's philosophical reflection on life and death and modified a few words to make it sound like his own. The close likeness of the two quotes is obviously much too close to be ignored as a casual coincidence. Still, the most fascinating indication that the stranger is indeed Gandalf originates from the stores in the Rings of Power. During a conversation with Nori and Poppy, the leader of the store quips that the magician is a great big grand elf. This scenario complements a discussion the Harfoots had earlier in Season 2 when they were trying to come up with a better name for the stranger. It would appear that in the not-too-distant future of the Rings of Power, the stranger may get fond of the name Grand Elf and abbreviate it to Gandalf, confirming the same occurrence that the Follow Your Nose and Secret Fire hints have already hinted to. Thanks for watching.